Hello, my name is Keni Kariuki. This presentation investigates the effect of decentralization within the Kenyan agricultural sector and how it altered, if at all, the possibility to positive net benefits to smallholder farmers. The focus on the Kenyan agricultural sector through the lens of political settlement and decentralization theory considerably shaped the methodological choices and the overall research strategy. To adequately address the research questions, thick qualitative detail that was deemed necessary, coupled with primary quantitative data, and secondary literature that would provide further support to the evidence presented. There were three phases. It began with Nairobi, with key interviews with people from the ministry to NGOs. Then there were basically four counties selected in phase two that had different commodities, where county administrative staff were also given semi-structured interviews and assisted in basically providing a picture of how agriculture looked like in the counties. And finally, farmers. There were focus groups within the third phase where the focus groups were held and farmers gave their perspective on exactly how they thought agriculture was occurring post-2013. The agricultural sector remains as important to the Kenyan economy in terms of labor share today as it was at independence in 1963. In 1960, the agricultural share of GDP was 38.4%. By 2018, it was 34.6%, doing something like that, contributing 65% to export earnings primarily from the crop sector, while contributing 57.8% to total employment in 2017. Basically, the agricultural sector also indirectly contributes 27% to GDP through linkages and manufacturing. Historically, the agricultural sector has played a key role in creating net benefits that have been derived by the state. It has played an integral part, and this is what's important, in the distribution of power and rents, with ethnogeographically playing a critical role in patronage and productive outcomes. To emphasize this, the importance to the sector to overall economic growth in Kenya, as it's estimated, a 1% increase in the sector results in the corresponding 1.6% growth in the economy. The positive economic outcomes derived from the growth fed the holding power of ruling coalition governments. However, what is peculiar, as we always see in sub-Saharan Africa, is the lack of investment by the government in the agricultural sector, and especially if we're talking about structural transformations. Agriculture, however, in Kenya, that being said, is politics. Public institutions, predominantly parastatals, have dominated the Kenyan agricultural sector, aligning economic institutions with politics. Kenya's ethnic composition has witnessed varying ethnic groups coalescing around various agricultural value chains due to the benefits that are derived. The distribution of rents in this context acts as a form of patronage. It is this appreciation of context, recognition of rent seeking and holding power, and the role of formal and informal institutions, which addresses the relevance of utilizing political settlement theory, which truly focuses on the distribution of power, and when it comes to normative expectations within the decentralization, helps us explain why the debate exists that the normative expectations of decentralization don't always occur, especially within a clientelist political settlement. What makes Kenya's decentralization process unique is its genesis as independence. Independence did not mean equality. There was a fear that larger groups would dominate rents in the center if Kenya were to adopt a unitary constitutional dispensation. In the 1960s, it was the voices of the centrists that prevailed. By the early 2000s, however, the failure of the Moi Kibaki government to propose a new constitution which actually decentralized, I contend was a key reason for the 2007-2008 post-election violence. After decentralization was sought, it had to be given. And this time, unlike in other sub-Saharan African countries, what occurred was not a state party or a central party actually negotiating the process, but every relevant actor politically was in the room when they go renegotiate the new constitution, and though no one won out, the Kenya's decentralization process is thoroughgoing because one, the actors who had interests were all in the room, and secondly, the outcome was something that actually decentralized politically, administratively, and physically, sequentially, and concurrently. Therefore, how did this actually affect the agricultural sector? It is notable that in 2010, the decade witnessed two grand coalition governments, two referendums, and an agricultural policy framework that began ambitiously with the strategy for revitalization of agriculture, that is SRA, However, due to a plethora of diverse interests, collective action problems, and we're also seeing with farmers, stall the full implementation of the policy. The limited impact of the agricultural policy in this period highlights the importance of rents as opposed to productivity. Essentially, two key areas of investigation put forward for the purpose of this presentation were: did post-2013 witness an increase in agricultural allocation and expenditure in the subnational units? And what was the nature of this distribution of expenditure post-2013? To the first question, yes. As you can see in these graphs, there was an increase in expenditure in the subnational units. On average, the total allocation was about 6%, and this is beyond the 4 that I showed you earlier, with county governments allocating about 45% to recurrent and 55% to development expenditure. However, evidence, what I found from my 4 counties, evidence highlighted that physical decentralization had occurred substantively, providing counties with the capacity to adequately operate. However, that had not translated itself into better service delivery. Decentralization had not provided a net increase to resources and availability at subnational level. If anything, post-2013, enhanced resource availability in all the counties had witnessed increased development spending, in emphasis on capital-intensive projects in relation to agriculture. With this form of development spending, favored programs such as milk coolers, cattle dips, youth and women programs, which provided mixed results at best. Extension and facilitation expenditure had contracted, debatably undercutting facilitation services that provided public goods. One of the key issues was public participation and how this can be utilized. However, it was not occurring. And I look forward to this discussion when we all meet at the conference. Thank you very much.